Hi guys, how are you? Today is Wednesday. It is Earth Day, which is a special day to me because it's been 50 years since Earth Day started, and it is a day about protecting the planet that we live on. And look behind me, I have my flag that usually hangs outside of my house during the month of April, but it has been so windy that the wind keeps blowing it down. And I finally was like, forget it. And so I decided that I would just show it to you in my video. So I have a new book. It is a nonfiction book. This book isn't in rhyme. This book is a true story. It is full of facts about trees. It's called The Magic and the Mystery of Trees. And it has a lot of pages. And there is no way that we could read all of this book. So I just picked out a few pages to talk about some cool stuff about trees. We talked about plants in our class, and if you were in my group, we did a lot of talking about parts of plants. So maybe you could help me remember. There's a few important things. There are the things that are in the ground underneath the plant. Do you remember what they're called? They're called roots, right? And they're kind of stringy and they work like straws. They suck the water up and they send the water up into the rest of the plant. And then there is the part that comes out of the ground. It's a stem. And off the stem are some leaves usually. And at the top of the stem of a plant, often there are flowers. Sometimes they're tiny and sometimes they're big. And as the flower lives longer, it makes some seeds. So we have roots and stems and leaves and the flower part and the seeds. And those are the 5 basic parts of a plant. Now, there's lots of special words and lots of science stuff about plants, different parts of plants that we're not going to talk about today. And maybe someday you'll be a scientist and you'll want to learn more about all the different parts of plants. But there's lots of things that plants and people have in common, and we'll talk about that in a minute. I picked this because trees are the biggest plant, right? We're used to our little plants or our little flowers, but trees are a plant too, and they're the biggest plant, and they have the same parts as a flower does, right? So here is a picture of a tree. Oh, look at there. There are the roots all down here. And so the trunk of the tree would be the stem, but we call it a trunk because it's so big. And then the trunk has branches, and those branches have leaves on them, right? And then sometimes a tree puts off what we call fruit or seeds. So like an oak tree makes acorn seeds, or a pine tree, an evergreen would have pine cones on it. A maple tree would have, we call them little helicopters because they go around when they fall to the ground. So those are the basic parts of the tree. The branches, the canopy is all the leaves in the tree. And this part of the tree provides homes to many different kinds of animals. And the trunk of the tree, a healthy trunk, will have some really good bark on it. We'll look at some of that closer in the next couple pages. Bark, we'll talk about that. Hold on, let me not get ahead of myself. So those are the different parts of a tree. So there is a better picture of the roots, all of the root system in this tree. And so the roots get moisture from in the ground. The moisture comes from the sky, right? From the rain that falls down. So it gets sucked into that gets soaked up into the ground, and then the roots suck it up. And see these arrows? That's how it goes up into the trunk of the tree. And it takes the nutrients out of the soil. Did you know there's good stuff in the soil for the trees, right? And then on top of it, all in the root system are animal nests and all kinds of things that live down there. The other thing that roots do for trees is they hold them down into the ground. So trees are really big on top, right? So they need something really, really big under the ground where we can't hear them so they don't just blow over. And sometimes that happens when the wind is really strong anyways. Now this says a big tree can suck in over 100 gallons of water from the soil every day. 100 gallons. Can you imagine 100 gallons of milk in your refrigerator? You filled them all up with water. That's how much a tree would drink. So this is some different barks on different trees, right? So I want you to do something. We're gonna talk about something pretty interesting. So the bark on a tree protects the inside of the tree, which is softer, right? And so the bark on the tree is like our skin, right? So I want you to feel your wrist, right? Do you feel the bone underneath it, right? Well, there's bone and there's veins and things that carry nutrients through our body, the blood through our body, and our skin protects everything that's on the inside of us, right? Our skin protects the things that are inside of us. Just like the bark on the trees protects the inside of the tree, maybe from insects or from birds or bad diseases that get passed around in trees. So that's one of the ways that we're like trees. Plus we both drink water, right? So here's another page. This page is about the leaves, right? And so the leaves' job is to collect sunshine, and that turns into food for the tree. Now, I don't know how to explain that to you so that you can understand it, but that's what it does. And then as the leaves get old, they start out nice bright green and they start to lose their color. So usually in the summertime, they're this color, right? And then as the summer goes along into the fall, they turn yellow, and then in late fall, they're getting orange. They're losing even more of the chlorophyll that's in their leaves that make them green until they're brown and crunchy and hard, and they've fallen off the tree by now. So those are some different parts of the trees, and trees are just a big plant, and we've talked about that, all the different parts of the plant, and I wanted to go over that with you today. And I want to show you a silly picture. Let me get my iPad here. I'm gonna log in, and there I am. I probably should have tested this to make sure it was gonna work. There's me dressed up like a tree. So I have roots down here at the bottom and bark on my trunk, and I'm pretending that my arms are branches, and I have leaves on my branches and on my top. This is the canopy, and there I am dressed up like a tree, feeling pretty silly. And I would have did that with you guys, but we are not in school, and I miss you very, very much. And I hope that you're doing well, and I'm so glad that we're going to Zoom in just a little bit. So I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good day. Bye.